English and French transfer windows shut yesterday. Kylian Mbappe's move to Paris Saint-Germain was confirmed, while Premier League clubs spent record amounts. Saw the reaction to deadline day coming up. Welcome to the programme. English and French transfer windows shut yesterday. Kylian Mbappe's move to Paris Saint-Germain was confirmed, while Premier League clubs spent record amounts. But there were still a few stars left disappointed.
It was a day of record spending, but also one defined by big deals that fell through. Premier League clubs spent £210 million on deadline day, but Philippe Coutinho, Riyad Mahrez and Alexis Sanchez all stayed put. Arsenal rejected a £55 million offer from Manchester City for Sanchez and failed to land Monaco's Thomas Lemar despite bidding £92 million. The Gunners also let Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain leave for Liverpool in a deal worth £35 million.
Well, I think he's already become a fantastic player, and that's the reason why we spent £35 million on him. I think he definitely strengthens the group and the team. He's English, he's 24, he's just coming into his peak years. He's a very quick and exciting player. He seemed as if he weren't happy at Arsenal, so now hopefully he can settle down and give the best years of his career to Liverpool Football Club. But I think it's a very, very positive signing.
Up steps Philippe Coutinho, and it's a magical moment.
Jurgen Klopp will be relieved the English window is shut, but must now nervously wait a few more hours to be sure Barcelona don't make an improved offer for Coutinho. Chelsea endured a frustrating deadline day despite adding David Costa and Danny Drinkwater to their ranks. The Leicester midfielder passed his medical at the 11th hour and already has fond memories from Stamford Bridge.
Drinkwater, oh, it's special!
Chelsea also bid for Drinkwater's ex-teammate Riyad Mahrez, only for Leicester's Thai owners to change their mind and deny the Algerian his desired move. Mahrez was thus left stranded in both Paris and London, waiting for clarity on his future. Antonio Conte also failed to sign Everton midfielder Ross Barkley in a £30 million deal. Barkley even passed his medical, only to bizarrely decide he didn't fancy a move to West London, at least not until January. And Chelsea lost out in the race for striker Fernando Llorente as well, who chose to leave Swansea for Spurs for £15 million in perhaps the bargain deal of the day. Spurs also added French defender Serge Aurier to their ranks from Paris Saint-Germain.
Mbappe in the clear! Easy as you like. Kylian Mbappe is quite simply unstoppable at Monaco.
PSG needed to offload after earlier confirming Kylian Mbappe's arrival from Monaco in a deal worth a staggering £166 million. It means the French giants spent just £44 million less on one player than all of the Premier League clubs combined on deadline day, underlining their ambition and spending power.
So let's have a look at the deadline day in a bit more detail. Kylian Mbappe's loan deal was one of the flagship deals. It was a busy transfer deadline day in France and England. If PSG buy, the fee will be around £166 million. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Danny Drinkwater both joined their new clubs for £35 million, and Fernando Llorente left Swansea for Spurs for just 15, with the fee seemingly not ballooning despite interest from Chelsea. Well, join me now to dissect all the main headlines from transfer deadline day is the former England fullback Michael Gray and our senior correspondent Ben Jacobs. Michael, let's start with you. Very good afternoon to you both. Mbappe deal done, but it's only a loan deal to PSG, Michael. Do they have the option to buy him?
Yeah, I think he will eventually be a PSG player. You know, I think he's obviously going to go there, and what a forward line. You know, Neymar, you know, Cavani, and then you're bringing Mbappe in. I mean, electric pace, wonderful goal scorer, and he's only going to make them better. I think what they are trying to do right now is obviously do well in Europe. They want to get to that next level and obviously pick up the trophy, but they're a force to be reckoned with.
Is it a better lineup than BBC, safe?
Yeah, possibly, yes. I mean, only time's going to tell. I think everybody looks at the potential of Mbappe, but he's not really potential anymore. He's proved to everybody what he can do in Europe. I think he's playing for the national team now, scoring goals. He's a fantastic talent, but they're going to be difficult to beat.
Yeah, and Ben, why is it only a loan deal? Do PSG have that option to buy him?
Yeah, they certainly do, but it's not an obligation, and the reason why it's only an option as opposed to an obligation is
simply financial fair play. Now, FFP isn't necessarily particularly simple, but in layman's terms, Paris Saint-Germain cannot make signings that outweigh a possible debt of 45 million euros. So bringing in Neymar, 220 million euros, plus Mbappe, 180 million euros, is too much in one season, and therefore you take the latter on a loan deal, so effectively, financially speaking on the books, you can put that signing into next season and thus stay within financial fair play.
Well, the lineup it will be for PSG, and Mbappe really is the man of the hour. Here he is reacting to his move after playing and scoring for France last night.
I'm very happy to be part of such a big club. I think it's the perfect project for me to improve and keep learning to the top level. I'll be surrounded by great players who have won everything. I have a lot to learn and so much to prove.
Let's talk about Philippe Coutinho, because he didn't make his move yesterday. Spanish transfer window is still open, Michael. Could he get his dream move, do you think?
Well, he's certainly fit. He played and scored for Brazil last night, and a wonderful goal it was. I think potentially he wanted the move to happen. This is why he put a written transfer request in. Liverpool have obviously went out and brought Oxlade-Chamberlain just in case anything does come around. But only we have to wait and see. Huge amounts of money that we're speaking about for Coutinho. But I think the squad that Liverpool have got right now, they're possibly only one, maybe two players away from really challenging for that Premier League title.
And if he does go to someone, say Barcelona, what kind of player would they be getting with Coutinho?
Well, listen, I think they were trying to look for somebody similar to Neymar. I don't think you can really reach that level. I think there's a little bit of a difference between the two players, but there's no doubting, you know, in the Spanish league, he'd certainly be a hit. He's got great ability, he can score goals, he can create opportunities, and he'd be a fantastic addition to Barcelona's squad. But I think Liverpool will be trying their utmost to keep him there.
Yeah, Ben, is there any more latest on this? Are we expecting a move today for him?
Well, let's not forget Barcelona have made 3 bids for Coutinho, and Liverpool's response has been to reject them and do so immediately. Liverpool's stance is exactly the same. I've spoken to the club this afternoon. They state no means no. It is as simple as that. Barcelona may be preparing a bid of around 160 million euros just to see if they can test the resolve. Klopp maintains the player's not for sale, but what about Fenway Sports Group? They obviously have to look at the transfer financially speaking as well and determine whether or not the player is going to be settled at Anfield if he wants that dream move to Barcelona. So watch this space as far as Barcelona are concerned. They could still table a 4th bid for 160 million euros, but even if they were to bid beyond Neymar, 223 million euros, a world record bid, Liverpool's answer, as I understand it, would still be no.
I guess one more other player who's looking to join Barcelona is Riyad Mahrez as well. What's the latest on him? Would you say he's like a backup for Coutinho if they weren't to get the first choice?
Well, this is what's going to be interesting. Riyad Mahrez's dream is Barcelona. We know yesterday he left the Algeria camp, and that seemingly was to finalise a move. Chelsea, I'm told by Leicester's owners, contrary to a lot of reports that you'll read, did make an actual offer of 45 million. But Leicester's owner, who's based out of Thailand, known as Vishai, had a U-turn and decided he wanted to keep Riyad Mahrez, leaving Mahrez jumping between airports. His whereabouts was unknown, and we didn't know whether a deal was or was not going to happen. Spurs were also in for the Algerian as well. In the end, he's moved nowhere, meaning now his only option is Spain. And as you correctly point out, it is as a backup to Philippe Coutinho. Now, when you compare the two, Mahrez, Mickey, is tremendous business. 40 million, 50 maximum versus 140 million. He scored 1 more goal per 100 games in England than Coutinho and got 2 more assists. I understand Barcelona don't want him and he'll stay at Leicester City. But if you look at it financially speaking, are you going to pay 40 odd million for Mahrez or 140 million for Coutinho? The Algerian wouldn't be a bad signing this
When you
evening.
look at it from that sense, it does work. You know, I think because you're not spending huge amounts of money. We know that Barcelona have got the money because of obviously the Neymar fee. But Mahrez, I think that league would actually suit him.
I was going to say which player would suit.
Yeah, I think it would actually. But I think, you know, if you're speaking to Craig Shakespeare, he obviously wants to keep him at Leicester City. So I think they're all praying that this transfer window in Spain is going to close very quickly. But he said that he's been back to the training ground. He's been involved in the games. He's been not a pick a bother at all. So, you know, if it happens, great for the player. If it doesn't, I still think he'd be happy at Leicester City.
And what about Diego Costa? Because he's as we know it, hoping for a return to Atletico Madrid. Ben, what's the chances of this happening in the final few hours?
My understanding with Diego Costa is Chelsea are holding very firm for a fee of 50 million English pounds. Atletico have asked whether he'd be made available to return to the club for 45 million. So there's only 5 million difference. Atletico, though, have got all of the cards because they know Costa's stranded, he wants to leave the club, and they're also quite prepared to wait until January. And the main reason for that is, one, if the player remains at Stamford Bridge and unsettled, the price will go down even further. But two, and more importantly, Atletico Madrid are under a transfer ban. What that means is that they can actually sign Diego Costa now, but they won't be able to register him. And as a result, if they wish to bring him to the club immediately, they would have to loan him out to another Spanish club. That's complicated because Costa is AWOL. So Atletico can pay the fee to Chelsea. He can be an Atletico player. They don't have to register him, and thus he does not have to undergo a medical before the window shuts. But then Costa would still be sitting around playing no football. So if they then want to buy him, Atletico, and loan him out to another Spanish club, he'd have to get to Spain and, for that club that he's sent on loan to, pass a medical. In short, therefore, Atletico are running out of time, and they believe that the transfer fee Chelsea are asking for is too high. But if there's one transfer that is going to happen in terms of a Premier League player moving, I do believe before the window shuts, that will be Diego Costa returning to Atletico.
Yeah, and it's well documented, Michael, that Costa's not happy at Chelsea. How do you think their manager Antonio Conte's dealt with the situation there?
Well, it's a really difficult one as a manager. I think, because you want a happy dressing room. And I think, you have to look at both parties. Apparently things have been said to Diego Costa that he wasn't wanted at the football club. But I also think that he's been misadvised. Staying away from the club is the wrong thing to do when you're under contract. Even if you don't feel happy going into the training ground on a daily basis, you still have to do it. You're under contract to that football club. He's tried to force the move. It hasn't went through for him right now. And like Ben just said there, if he does actually go to Spain, he can't play till January. So he's kind of in no man's land. If he does go there, he's going to be training on a regular basis without any match day up until the January window when it opens again. So it's a really frustrating place for him. If I was a player in his dressing room at Chelsea, I don't think I would actually want him around because he would just upset the whole place. And then, if he does go to another club, I think, Chelsea will probably be happy with that, but they want the fee that they're asking for.
Let's talk about the business of spending in the transfer market. We've seen some astronomical fees in recent times, Michael. Has it got out of hand?
Absolutely. But then, next season we were talking about Mbappe, it might be £160 million. He could be a bargain. That's how silly the transfer windows became. But he's such an outstanding talent, and this is we're talking about him going to PSG because of what they paid for Neymar this time around. But I think, look, the Premier League are not going to be far behind. Yes, they've went out and spent the money. Manchester City, I think, have spent over £200 million in this transfer window. Man United not far behind. Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal have been trying to spend £92 million on Lamar. So it's getting into crazy figures, but they're probably thinking to themselves that, these players are going to end up being bargains. Paul Pogba last season, huge amounts of money. But when you look at what's being spent right now, it was great money spent. And
is there a danger that it may just implode towards the end?
Well, is it over 1.2 billion, I think, has been spent, if I'm right. I know Ben's probably going to be exact with this, but I think it's round about there. But that is, it's astronomical amounts of money, for success. And listen, let's not forget, there's only one side can win the Premier League. One side can win a domestic trophy or two domestic trophies. And we've got 5 clubs in the Champions League, so only one of them can win that. And this money that they spend is obviously pushing towards that. Somebody's going to be disappointed.
Yeah, well, great thoughts as always. Michael, Ben, thank you very much for joining us on the beIN Sports International News. And well, one man who didn't move on transfer deadline day was Thomas Lemar. He rejected a big money move from Monaco to Arsenal. He featured and scored twice for France in their World Cup qualifier against the Netherlands last night. It finished 4-0 at the Stade de France. Lemar's double also included goals from Antoine Griezmann and, as we told you earlier, Kylian Mbappe. Let's have a look at the main Group A leaders. The Dutch dropped to 4th after Bulgaria beat Sweden 3-2 in Sofia. Luxembourg secured only their 5th World Cup qualifying win in 83 years. That with a 1-0 win over Belarus. Cristiano Ronaldo in the list of all-time international goals. He's now on 78 after scoring a hat-trick, including that bicycle kick in Portugal's 5-1 win over the Faroe Islands. He achieved the feat in 144 games. Pelé in the year just 92. It was also Ronaldo's 14th goal of this qualifying campaign. equalling Predrag Mijatovic's record from 1998. Let's have a look at this table here, because he has some way to go to beat Iran's Ali Daei, who retired with 109 goals. Frank Puskas is second. Ronaldo's 2 away from Kunishige Kamamoto, and 1 behind the late Zambian striker Godfrey Chalu. As for Group B, Portugal remain in that playoff position. Switzerland, with a 100% record, are still top after beating Andorra 3-0. Hungary moved clear in third following a 3-1 win over Latvia. And subsequent